Commodore. Commodore is the first rank in the Imperial hierarchy where an officer is trusted with command over multiple capital ships rather than a single vessel or ground formation. It sits above captain and below admiral ranks, acting as a transitional position between ship-level command and full fleet leadership. Commodores are typically assigned to lead small task forces, patrol groups, or specialized detachments operating in volatile or strategically important regions. Imperial Commodores are expected to coordinate the movements of several ships, manage subordinate captains, and respond rapidly to emerging threats such as piracy, rebel activity, or border instability. Unlike higher admirals, they are often deployed closer to the front lines, where quick decisions matter more than long-term strategy. This makes the role demanding and often dangerous, as failure is highly visible and rarely forgiven. At this rank, political awareness begins to matter almost as much as tactical skill. Commodores must balance strict obedience to Imperial doctrine with the realities of commanding independent officers who may be competing for promotion themselves. Maintaining authority requires confidence, decisiveness, and a willingness to enforce discipline through intimidation if necessary. A Commodore who appears weak risks losing control of their task force. Commodores also serve as testing grounds for higher command. Those who demonstrate efficiency, loyalty, and a willingness to use overwhelming force are often promoted rapidly. Those who hesitate or fail are quietly removed. In this way, the rank of Commodore acts as a filter, ensuring that only the most ruthless and reliable officers advance further within the Imperial Navy. Rear Admiral. Rear Admiral is a senior naval rank that marks an officer's transition from localized command to broader fleet-level responsibility. Positioned above Commodore, Rear Admirals are entrusted with significant Imperial assets and are expected to oversee large-scale naval operations rather than isolated patrols. By this stage, the Empire views the officer as a proven leader capable of managing complex engagements across multiple systems. Imperial Rear Admirals typically command battle groups composed of several star destroyers, support cruisers, and auxiliary vessels. Their duties include coordinating fleet movements, securing hyperspace routes, enforcing blockades, and responding to major rebel incursions. Unlike Commodores, who are often reacting to immediate threats, Rear Admirals are expected to anticipate enemy movements and shape the battlefield before combat even begins. At this rank, strategic thinking becomes mandatory. Rear Admirals must allocate resources efficiently, decide when to escalate force, and ensure that losses remain acceptable in the eyes of Imperial High Command. Civilian casualties, planetary damage, and collateral destruction are considered secondary concerns, provided Imperial objectives are achieved. Success is measured in territory secured and resistance eliminated, not lives spared. Rear Admirals also operate under intense political pressure. They are constantly evaluated by superiors, rival officers, and Imperial intelligence. A single failed campaign can end a career, or worse. As a result, many Rear Admirals favor overwhelming force and aggressive tactics, preferring total domination over calculated restraint. The rank reflects the Empire's belief that fear and firepower are the most reliable tools of control. Vice Admiral. Vice Admiral is a high command rank within the Imperial Navy and represents a level of authority where officers are trusted with vast regions of space and immense military resources. Vice Admirals operate one step below full admirals, but in practice, their power can rival or even exceed that of lower admirals depending on their assignment. At this rank, officers are no longer simply winning battles, they are maintaining Imperial dominance across entire sectors. Imperial Vice Admirals often command major fleets composed of numerous star destroyers, carrier groups, and support vessels. They are responsible for enforcing long-term blockades, suppressing organized rebel cells, and securing vital trade routes and shipyards. Their decisions can determine the stability of multiple star systems at once. Failure at this level has galaxy-wide consequences, which is why Vice Admirals are chosen from the most loyal and aggressive officers in the Navy. Strategy and intimidation define this rank. Vice Admirals are expected to break resistance quickly and decisively, often using displays of overwhelming force to discourage rebellion before it can spread. Orbital bombardments, system-wide lockdowns, and mass arrests fall under their authority. The goal is not merely victory, but deterrence. Politically, vice admirals are deeply entangled with the Empire's power structure. They frequently coordinate with Moffs, Imperial intelligence, and elite enforcers such as Darth Vader. Advancement depends as much on ideological alignment and personal ambition as it does on military success. A vice admiral who hesitates or fails to act decisively risks removal or execution. At this level, command is absolute, and mercy is considered a weakness. Admiral. Admiral is one of the highest standard ranks in the Imperial Navy and represents near total authority over massive military forces. Officers at this level are responsible for shaping the course of entire wars, not just individual campaigns. An admiral's decisions affect entire sectors of the galaxy, and their failures or successes ripple across Imperial space. Imperial admirals command enormous fleets, often consisting of dozens of star destroyers, carrier groups, and specialized vessels. They oversee large-scale invasions, prolonged occupations, and coordinated multi-fleet operations. Unlike lower officers, admirals are rarely present at the front lines. Instead, they direct engagements from command ships or strategic centers, relying on reports, projections, and intelligence to dictate outcomes. At this rank, political power becomes inseparable from military authority. Admirals regularly interact with Moffs, the Imperial Security Bureau, and the Emperor's inner circle. Survival in this position requires not just strategic brilliance, but the ability to navigate rivalries and shifting loyalties. Many admirals rule through fear, understanding that a single perceived weakness can lead to demotion or death. Imperial doctrine at the admiral level emphasizes overwhelming force and total suppression. Entire planets may be punished for resistance, and collateral damage is accepted as a necessary cost of maintaining order. Admirals are expected to act decisively and without hesitation, embodying the Empire's belief that peace is achieved through domination. While admirals wield immense power, they are also under constant scrutiny. Darth Vader himself has executed admirals for failure, reinforcing the reality that rank offers no protection. In the Empire, authority is absolute, but so is accountability. Moff. Moff is a powerful political military rank within the Galactic Empire, distinct from traditional naval command, but often wielding even greater authority. Moffs are sector governors, appointed directly by the Emperor to oversee vast regions of space known as sectors, each containing multiple star systems and inhabited worlds. Unlike admirals whose power is tied to fleets, a Moff's authority is territorial and administrative, making them the Empire's primary instruments of long-term control. A Moff has direct command over all Imperial forces within their sector, including naval fleets, stormtrooper garrisons, planetary defenses, and intelligence assets. Admirals and commanders operating in a sector are required to answer to the Moff, regardless of rank, unless overridden by higher authority. This creates frequent tension between Moffs and naval officers, as military leaders often resent answering to political governors. The role of a Moff extends far beyond warfare. They are responsible for taxation, resource extraction, population control, and the suppression of dissent. Laws are enforced at their discretion, and planetary governments are either subordinated or dissolved entirely. Moffs are encouraged to rule through fear, using public executions, mass arrests, and planetary punishment to discourage rebellion. Politically, Moffs are fiercely competitive. Advancement depends on loyalty to the Emperor and the ability to maintain order without requiring constant intervention. Failure can result in removal or execution. Some Moffs develop personal power bases, ruling their sectors like feudal lords under Imperial law. The rank of Moff represents the Empire's shift from republic governance to authoritarian domination. It is where military power and political authority fully merge, turning entire regions of the galaxy into controlled territories rather than governed communities. Grand Moff. Grand Moff is one of the highest and most influential ranks in the Galactic Empire, surpassed only by the Emperor himself and his closest enforcers. A Grand Moff oversees multiple sectors at once, granting them authority over enormous regions of the galaxy. This rank represents absolute trust from the Emperor and is reserved for individuals deemed capable of enforcing Imperial will on a near-galactic scale. Unlike standard Moffs, Grand Moffs do not simply govern territory, they shape Imperial policy. They coordinate military campaigns, economic exploitation, political repression, and ideological enforcement across vast swaths of space. All Moffs within their jurisdiction answer directly to them, as do most admirals and commanders, unless countermanded by the Emperor or Darth Vader. In practice, a Grand Moff functions as a regional dictator with near unlimited power. The most famous example is Grand Moff Tarkin, whose doctrine of rule through fear became foundational to the Empire itself. Tarkin believed that terror was more effective than constant military occupation, a philosophy embodied by the Death Star. As Grand Moff, he had authority not only to deploy the superweapon, but to decide when and where entire planets would be destroyed. That level of discretion underscores how dangerous the rank truly is. Grand Moffs are expected to deliver results, not excuses. Rebellions must be crushed decisively, resistance discouraged permanently, and resources extracted efficiently. Compassion is irrelevant at this level, and failure is unforgivable. Even so, Grand Moffs are not immune to consequences. Their power exists only so long as they remain useful to the Emperor. The rank of Grand Moff represents the Empire at its most extreme: centralized power, total control, and governance through fear. It is the point where military command, political authority, and ideological enforcement fully converge, making the Grand Moff one of the most feared positions in all of Star Wars.